Oklahoma does not have one subsidy program. It has a scattered subsidy system, tax credits, cash payments, reduced tax rates, reimbursements, and private school tax credits. Together, they add up to roughly $1.3 billion a year. Taxpayers are paying the bill. So where are the receipts? Oklahoma has built a billion-dollar-plus public support system for private actors without one comprehensive public return on investment report showing what the whole system produced, or whether those same dollars would produce a stronger return if invested directly in Oklahomans. The largest visible category is the investment/new jobs tax credit, about $7.33 billion from fiscal year 2015 through 2025. Quality Jobs pays cash tied to payroll. The gross production tax reduction costs about $179 million. The private school tax credit is now $275 million. If this subsidy system were producing the economic transformation taxpayers were promised, Oklahoma families should be moving up. They are not. Oklahoma remains 44th in the bottom 10 income cluster, and our state is falling further behind as income growth continues to lag the national average. A successful business does not fund a project just because the return is above zero. It compares that return with other uses of the money. Oklahoma should use the same discipline. Before funding subsidies, lawmakers should require the subsidy meet a minimum hurdle rate of return. James Heckman's early childhood research found high social returns from early investment. Policy Impacts Review of Jackson, Johnson, and Persico estimates that each dollar of K-12 school spending produces about $4.49 in present value increased lifetime earnings. That is the minimum hurdle rate subsidies should have to beat. When students graduate, complete career tech, an apprenticeship, community college, or a degree, earnings usually rise. Higher earnings create more income tax revenue, more sales tax activity, stronger property values, and more workforce productivity. That is the public finance argument for investing in people when looking at state economic development. The return does not stop with wages. People with more education and training are generally more likely to be employed, earn higher wages, and be less likely to live in poverty. That makes them less likely to need SNAP, Sooner Care, housing support, and other public services over time. Oklahoma did take a step this session with early literacy reforms modeled partly on Mississippi's reading strategy. Good. That proves the point. Lawmakers know early intervention matters. But instead of using $275 million to subsidize private school tuition, Oklahoma could go further, funding a serious teacher pipeline, reading specialists, counselors, pre-K support, nutrition, and targeted help for high-poverty public schools. Early reading reform is a start. Now scale what works for the Title I schools serving most Oklahoma students. The $179 million gross production tax reduction on horizontal wells passed when the technology was unproven should face the same test now that the technology is in common use and no longer needs a subsidy. That money could support prenatal care, postpartum access, infant nutrition, rural health, child care, and early developmental screening. That is not separate from economic development. It is the beginning of the workforce pipeline. Another $400 million or more from the over $700 million in current commerce programs, quality jobs cash payments, and other tax credits could become Oklahoma's workforce engine. Career tech, skilled trades, apprenticeships, community college, adult retraining, and employer-matched training tied to higher wages. Oklahoma does not need another economic development press release. It needs a public investment test. Count the full cost. Compare the alternatives. Prove the subsidy is the highest and best use of taxpayer money. If taxpayers are paying the bill, taxpayers deserve the receipts. Prove it, reform it, or end it. Prove it, reform it, or end it. Read the full 3-part series at wlangdon.substack.com.